The goat's eyes were red like fire. Its tongue hung long from its mouth. But it was not the goat's body that made Amadi's blood freeze. It was on its head, a face that smiled wide, stretched too far, with teeth sharp like broken glass. Human face. Amadi turned to run, but it was too late. The goat leapt, its mouth opened wide, wider than any mouth should open, and swallowed the screaming man in one bite. No one in the village dared speak her name aloud, but in whispers they called her Iya Osogbo, the witch who controlled the goats with human heads. Some had one head, some had two, and those with two heads could speak in different voices at the same time, laughing while they bit your legs off. Her goats hunted in the dark. They obeyed only one command: destroy whoever she hates. But one day she met a man she couldn't break, a man chosen by the gods, a man who wasn't afraid. His name was Obafemi, and this is how the curse began.
Creepy, crazy stories.
Long ago, in the thick forest of Osogbo, lived an old woman named Iya Osogbo. Her hut was hidden deep in the trees, far from any road. Smoke always rose from her roof. Strange drums echoed from her home at night. And if you walked too close, you would hear whispers, soft, wet whispers from her goats. But these were not normal goats. Each goat had a human head. Some were the heads of men. Some were women. Some even had two heads. And when they spoke, they didn't sound like goats. They cried, they laughed, they begged for help. But their eyes told the truth. These were no victims. They were monsters. No one knew how Iya Osogbo made them. But the villagers knew one thing. If you crossed her, she would send a goat to your home, and you would never be seen again. In the village of Igbaye, the people lived in fear. They closed their doors at sundown. They whispered prayers at night. Still, people went missing. First, it was Chief Adelaya who refused to give Iya Osogbo part of his farmland. They found only his left arm on the road. Then it was Auntie Remilekun who called Iya a mad woman in the market. Her legs were discovered near the river. Nothing else. Everyone knew, but no one spoke until Obafemi returned home. Obafemi was tall, strong, and fearless. He had been gone for many years, learning the ways of the hunters in the mountains of Ekiti. The gods had blessed him with power to protect the weak. His skin carried marks of thunder. His eyes held the calm of deep water. When he heard what Iya Osogbo had done to the village, he said one word: enough. The elders warned him. They begged him to be careful. They said, Obafemi, she has lived for 200 years. She is not human anymore. But Obafemi was not afraid. She may be powerful, he said, but the gods are stronger. That night, Iya Osogbo sat in her hut talking to her goats. Their heads moved in the firelight, twisting and turning like snakes. She thinks she can stop me, she hissed. Let us show him fear. From the shadows came her favorite goat. It had two heads. One face was a child, the other a crying woman. The goat opened both mouths at once, stretching wide, and let out a sound so terrible, even the trees outside shivered. Go, Iya said, bring me Obafemi's heart. The next night, as Obafemi slept in his small hut at the edge of the village, he heard a soft cry outside. Help me! He stepped out holding his spear. There in the moonlight stood a goat, but not just any goat. It had the face of a little boy, and it was weeping. Obafemi stepped forward slowly. "What are you?" The goat smiled, and its smile stretched far too wide. Then a second head popped out from the side of its neck. This one was a woman screaming in rage. Both heads opened wide. They leapt, but Obafemi didn't move. He lifted his hand and shouted a word in the old tongue. "Aso!" A bright blue light burst from his chest, and the goat flew backward, crashing into a tree with a scream. The two heads howled, twisting in pain. "I was blessed for this," Obafemi said. "I was sent for you." In her hut, Iya Osogbo screamed. Her eyes turned red. "This one, he carries the light of the gods, but no light lasts forever." She turned to her other goats, 10 of them, all with human heads. Some had 2 mouths, some had tongues that could stretch like ropes. She licked her lips. That night, Baba Lawani, the oldest man in the village, sat by his fire, roasting yam. He had once been a strong warrior, but now he could barely walk. Suddenly, he heard a knock at his door. Knock, he frowned. "Who comes to my home at this hour?" No answer. He took his walking stick and opened the door slowly. Nothing, just the dark. But when he looked down, he saw hooves. He looked up and screamed. It was a goat, but with the face of his dead wife, Mama Titi. Her mouth stretched, trembling. Her eyes were empty. "Lalawani," the goat said in her voice, "come and join me." The second head popped out from the side. It was a man's face, laughing and licking blood from its lips. Before Baba Lawani could shut the door, the goat lunged. The next morning, all they found were bones, and Baba's tongue still warm. Word reached Obafemi by sunrise. "They've started hunting openly," he said, clenching his fists. "She's not hiding anymore." He walked straight to the village square. The people gathered. He raised his voice. "This is no longer just fear. This is war. Iya Osogbo's evil has swallowed too many. But I will fight her goats. I will find her, and I will end this curse." A woman stepped forward, Iyaloja, the market leader. "My sister was taken last moon. I saw the goat with her face licking her blood. I will follow you, Obafemi." Then Durojaye, the town blacksmith, stood. "They took my cousin. Count me in." One by one, the villagers joined, but Obafemi knew it wouldn't be enough. The goats were not animals. They were cursed souls, twisted by Iya Osogbo's dark powers. And that night, she sent her strongest. In the thick of the forest, Iya Osogbo sat in a circle of bones. Her goats circled her like dogs. "I warned them," she growled. "I gave them chances, but now they rise against me." She turned to her largest goat, a monstrous thing with 2 male heads, sharp teeth, and long pink tongues that dragged the ground. "Alakoro," she whispered, "it is your turn." The goat stepped forward, growling from both mouths. It smiled. Midnight. Iyaloja was first to hear the sound. Cluck. She turned to Obafemi. "It's here." From the bush came a shape, large, black. Its eyes glowed red. Alakoro, the 2-headed goat, stepped into the firelight. One mouth laughed. the other opened impossibly wide until its jaw cracked. It charged. Iyaloja screamed. Durojaye threw a spear, but it bounced off the goat's skin. The villagers scattered. The first victim was Mama Sewa. Alakoro bit off her entire arm in one snap. She fell to the ground, screaming in pain. Then the goat grabbed Tunde the farmer by the leg and swallowed his lower half, dragging his top half into the bush. Blood splattered the trees. Obafemi closed his eyes. Orunmila, give me strength. He pulled out his sacred dagger carved from thunderstone. He ran forward. Alakoro turned. Both heads opened wide. Obafemi leapt and stabbed the dagger into its chest. The goat screamed so loud the sky shook. One head fell off. The body twitched, then dropped. Silence. The villagers wept. They gathered the bodies. Some were too torn apart to move. Obafemi stood, blood on his hands. This is just one. We must find Iya Osogbo. We end this at the roots. Back in her hut, the witch howled. My Alakoro, my sweet, sweet beast. She crushed bones beneath her feet. Her eyes bled. She turned to her final goat. It had no eyes but could smell fear. Its human head was quiet until it opened its mouth and sang a lullaby. She smiled. Yes, go. Bring me Obafemi's soul. Obafemi and his group walked deeper into the forest. Trees twisted, the air grew thick, shadows moved. Suddenly a voice echoed, "Sleep now, hero, sleep forever." Iyaloja's eyes closed, then Durojaye's. One by one, the villagers fell asleep. Obafemi dropped to his knees, struggling to breathe. He heard a soft voice beside him, whispering gently. Then a bite. His arm was bleeding. The eyeless goat stood above him. Its mouth opened, and from its throat came a voice, his mother's voice calling him home. Obafemi reached into his pouch and pulled out a piece of Osun's cloth, soaked in river water. He wrapped it around his head. The voices stopped. The goat hissed. He jumped up and stabbed it in the neck. It let out one last cry and turned to ashes. The spell broke. The villagers woke, and the path to Iya Osogbo's hut was finally open. The trees parted like fearful spirits as Obafemi led the villagers forward. The ground was thick with bones. Skulls hung from tree branches like evil ornaments. Smoke rose ahead, thick, black, and smelling of burnt flesh. They had reached the hut of Iya Osogbo. Her voice echoed before they saw her. So the little hero arrives, and he brings friends. Obafemi stepped forward, staff glowing, dagger in hand. "Iya Osogbo," he shouted, "you have swallowed enough souls. Your goats have eaten enough flesh. This night, your evil ends." A cruel laugh tore through the sky. The hut burst into flames, and from it stepped Iya Osogbo. She wore a black wrapper soaked in blood. Her skin looked like burned wood. Her eyes glowed red like coals. Her mouth stretched from ear to ear, revealing jagged black teeth. Around her, 4 goats appeared, each with 2 heads, mouths already wet with blood, tongues swaying. "You think your gods can save you?" she hissed. "I am a god." Obafemi lifted his dagger. "You are nothing but a curse." She pointed. "Attack!" The goats charged. The villagers scattered, but Obafemi ran forward. One goat lunged. Obafemi ducked and sliced its belly. A storm of black smoke burst out, screaming as it died. Another bit Durojaye's leg, tearing flesh. He screamed, falling. Iyaloja ran to help, but a goat with two screaming heads blocked her path. "I will hold them off," she shouted. Obafemi faced Iya Osogbo. She lifted her hands and shouted in a voice not human, "Ejemi wonyo." Suddenly the ground opened. Hands rose from the earth, arms of her past victims, crawling, grasping, pulling at Obafemi's legs. He fell. The witch laughed, walking toward him slowly. "They all said they could stop me. Look around you, boy. Look at their broken bodies. What are you compared to death?" Obafemi's voice cracked. "I am not alone." Suddenly, a light burst from the sky. A soft wind blew, and his mother's voice whispered in his ears, "Rise, my son." His necklace glowed. The bracelet of Osun shimmered with water. The staff of Oranmiyan shined bright like fire. Obafemi stood, eyes glowing white. He spoke 3 words, "Emi Olorun Gbami," Spirit of God, help me. The sky cracked, lightning struck the earth beside him. The witch screamed. She turned to run, but the villagers surrounded her. Bloodied but strong, they stood as one. "No more!" shouted Iyaloja. "End her!" yelled Durojaye. Obafemi raised his staff and dagger. "Iya Osogbo," he said, "by the power of the gods, by the blood of the innocent, by the cries of the broken, your reign is over." He plunged the dagger into the ground. A roar louder than thunder filled the forest. The earth opened beneath Iya Osogbo. Her goats screamed as flames swallowed them. She clawed at the air. "No! I cannot die." The villagers watched as she and her beast sank into the fire below. Then silence. The earth closed, the smoke cleared, the forest was still. The people cried, some for the dead, some for the pain, but mostly for peace. Obafemi stood, tears in his eyes. "It is finished," he said. Months passed. The village of Igbai healed. They rebuilt. They planted. No goats with human heads were seen again. Children laughed in the streets once more. The name Iya Osogbo became a tale, a warning to the wicked. And Obafemi, he became a legend, but he never sought praise. He only said one thing whenever people asked how he defeated the witch. When darkness rises, light must stand tall, even if it stands alone.